Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Radiant Central, and I'm Natasha St. Michael, and thank you so much for joining me. So, it's the beginning of January, it's 2012, and everyone is excited about starting a new year, and I'm getting tons of emails from people that are getting onto new diets, they're determined to lose weight, and they're excited. So, January is the peak month of the year where everyone's getting onto sort of their weight loss goals, their new diets, things like that. And I just want to say a huge congratulations to all of those that are making it a point this year to lose that unwanted weight. So today I want to actually give a few tips on pretty much how to be successful with your diet and also to keep off the weight, because a lot of times people get so focused on actually losing the weight that they forget about how to keep it off, because a lot of times the biggest sort of battle is not so much the diet itself, but it's actually afterwards transitioning back into daily life and keeping that weight off. So the first thing that I recommend is to avoid long-term crash diets. Okay, whatever diet you're choosing, the most important thing is to make adjustments to the diet that you see this type of diet that you're eating as something that you can maintain over the long term, that you're enjoying it and that it's balanced, and that this is something that you're not completely depriving yourself, but you are making those healthy adjustments to really get to your weight loss goals. So for those that want to do like a juice fast or some sort of cleanse, that's fine to like kickstart a diet, and a lot of people are really successful with like letting go of their sugar addictions or getting off of coffee or artificial sweeteners and getting rid of the processed food by doing a juice fast or some sort of cleanse. And it's short term, it's usually a few days, maybe a week or two. And one thing though to consider is that if you are trying to lose weight, is to use that time to really think about, you know, what kind of diet plan you're going to go on to once the cleanse or the fast is over, and to plan it out beforehand, to be prepared, because then it's much easier to transition back into solid food or regular food, things like that. And the main thing too is that a lot of times when people go on to like sort of like a long-term crash diet where they're really just trying to lose weight very quickly, is that it can be too restrictive, that they find themselves sort of yo-yoing, you know, where they can be really good for a few days or a few weeks on this one diet, but then they find themselves binging out on junk foods or even foods that they normally never ate. And then it's like this vicious cycle of like going back and forth, and whatever weight they're losing creeps back on, and sometimes even more. And we want to avoid that, avoid it completely. So what I always suggest to people is really, if there is a certain diet that you choose to go on, that to go on it with an open mind and really listen to your body, your mind, your spirit, pretty much, to listen to those cravings you're having. Because if you're having like crazy cravings, maybe you need to make some adjustments to allow some foods in order to lessen those cravings. You know, sometimes it's too much too fast can set a lot of people up to disaster. And plus, being on too much of a restricted diet where people are cutting out food groups, it can be just too much, and later on it can throw people into larger problems. So always be flexible, and to also understand that it's like once in a while, if you allow yourself a certain food, maybe having a small quantity of that food will sort of kind of protect you from going on a full-on binge on that food later on. So I always say to people, you know, try your best to do 80 or 90% of the time eating a healthy diet, but allow yourself here and there certain treats or certain foods, like a healthier version of a dessert, in order to sort of ride through those cravings and make it easier for yourself. And so I find usually most people are most successful doing it that way, as opposed to being crazy strict and cutting too much food out and too many options. All right, so the second tip I have with this is to also be realistic with your goals and to set mini goals. Very, very important, because a lot of times, let's say someone has to lose 30 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds. These are big numbers, and a lot of times when people get too fixed on, I've got to lose 100 pounds this year, it's like, it's a huge goal, and they don't get to celebrate and enjoy the steps that they're making. And so I always suggest to people, first is to figure out, okay, how much weight do you want to lose? And then to be realistic that, you know, it's a lot of times when people first get onto a diet, they tend to lose more weight. Someone can change their diet and suddenly first week they lose 3 pounds or 5 pounds or sometimes even more depending on how much they need to lose. But after that it slows down. And I find after working with hundreds of people, helping them with weight loss, is that the ones that actually keep it off are the ones that lose slowly and consistently. And usually the healthiest sort of weight to lose per week would be 1 or 2 pounds a week, or if someone needs to lose a lot of weight, it might be up to 3. But usually 1 to 2 pounds, it's not only that the body gets to adjust to the weight loss, but also mentally and emotionally you get to adjust to it as well. Because a lot of times if someone's been overweight for a long time or their entire life and suddenly they start dropping weight very quickly, they're suddenly in like a new body. And a lot of that times that can actually bring on some anxiety, some discomfort, some just feeling kind of like you need to catch up with your body and its changes. So losing 1 to 3 pounds a week, it's a slower transition that you get used to your body changing, you get used to everything, you know, and being on the diet and not pushing your body too far too quickly. So one thing to really think about is that, let's say someone has a goal to lose 20 pounds. Make mini goals where you make the goal of losing minimum 5 pounds a month. You know, that it's like, if you see it more from week to week or month to month, it's easier to get to that goal, rather than focusing on the 20, which seems at points like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get there. If you look at it like, okay, I gotta lose 1 pound minimum this week, much easier. You know, it's the same thing when people are trying to pay off the debt. They're not going to think about the big number they have to pay off. They're going to think about the monthly installments they have to make in order to reach that goal. Same thing with the weight loss, and that's where the victory comes. And at the same time, when you do reach that weekly goal or that monthly goal, you feel like you've accomplished something, you know, and you're not so much focusing on the scale as you are focusing on what you're actually doing. And that itself, it'll just propel you more and more forward and losing more weight, and it's encouraging. Okay, so I guess the last tip I have for today is not to isolate yourself, okay? Because this is a huge one, and I hear this over and over again, is that so many people out there, it's like when they're trying to lose weight or they're at a point where they're at their heaviest weight, they don't want to go outside, they don't want to see anyone. It's like their life stops. And they say, okay, I can only go to that party once I lose the weight. I could only go and do this once I've lost this amount of weight. But until then, I'm going to stay at home. And the problem with that is that when you're at home all the time and you're isolating yourself, it's kind of you in the refrigerator. And it's like an endless battle and an endless compulsion as well with the diet. And a lot of times people fall off because they don't have that human contact, because they're not releasing stress, they're at home, they're with everything, they're with their mind, they're with the refrigerator and with their diet. And a lot of times their diet doesn't go anywhere because there's this loneliness that can kind of hold people back from reaching their goals. And until they actually just kind of let that go and just say, you know what, I'm going to honor myself for where I am now, I'm going to go to that party, I'm going to see my friends, I'm going to go out to wherever and live my life right now, that's when you start seeing the weight start dropping off. Because the more that you're doing things and out of the home and out amongst people, that relieves stress. And also it takes away loneliness, and loneliness is usually the biggest thing that draws people to the fridge. So it's a matter of countering that and really honoring you right now, living your life now. And you'll notice too that being with people, it's a good distraction and it's a good inspiration, because if you're not happy with where your body's at right now, then you make the goal, okay, I see my friends next week, I want to lose 1 pound by then, or 2 pounds, you know? And then when you're seeing people, it'll motivate you even more to lose that weight and keep on track. And if you're nervous about maybe going to dinner parties where you're afraid you're going to overindulge, well, I have to say that most people overindulge at home when they're alone. okay? That usually when people are out at a restaurant or a party, they're not going to sit and eat the whole cake, but they'll do that at home alone. So it's a right to enjoy the food that you are eating out with people, because you'll definitely be eating smaller portions than you would normally alone. Okay, so these are just a few tips to get started with, and I'm wishing you guys a fabulous day, and I will see you soon. Bye.